We're going to begin, though, in Wisconsin with the Kyle Rittenhouse trial. Jurors about to start a second day of deliberations after spending more than 8 hours yesterday debating whether the 18-year-old is guilty of homicide in those police protest shootings that left 2 men dead last summer. Terry Moran is in Kenosha tracking all of this for us. Good morning, Terry.
Good morning, Robin. The jurors in this case who are not sequestered will resume their deliberations around 9 a.m. this morning after, as you mentioned, deliberating for about 8.5 hours yesterday. Their only request, they wanted a copy for each of the jurors of the 36 pages of jury instructions in this case. And their first request, they wanted the pages that dealt with the question of self-defense under the law, the question at the heart of this case. The city of Kenosha on edge. A few small protests overnight.
Need justice now!
As this morning, the countdown to a verdict is on in the trial of Kyle Rittenhouse, the jury entering its second day of deliberations. Before those deliberations could officially begin, a striking and rare moment in the courtroom. The defendant himself randomly drawing numbers, determining through a lottery which of the 18 jurors will serve as alternates and which jurors will decide his fate.
Number 9 and number 52.
Judge Bruce Schroeder, Wisconsin's longest-serving trial judge, known for doing things his way.
That's been the practice in this court for, I'm going to say, 20 years at least.
The jurors chosen to deliberate, 7 women and 5 men, including 1 person of color. They will decide this case as Kyle Rittenhouse faces 5 charges, the most serious count carrying a possible sentence of life behind bars. It's a complex case. The jurors, who aren't sequestered, must look at each of the 3 shootings Rittenhouse committed in August 2020 armed with an AR-15, leaving Joseph Rosenbaum and Anthony Huber dead and Gage Grosskreutz badly injured. But the key question for the jurors, did Rittenhouse act in self-defense, as his defense team has argued? These shootings taking place as riots engulfed Kenosha last year during protests over the police shooting of Jacob Blake, a black man who was shot 7 times, 4 times in the back and 3 times in the side, leaving him paralyzed from the waist down.
The rioters, the demonstrators who turned into rioters, those are the individuals who bring us forth.
That's an argument the prosecution vehemently disputes.
Everything this community went through, the only person who shot and killed anyone was the defendant.
The city of Kenosha, the people here, they were traumatized by the events of last year. You can feel it when you talk to them, but they aren't expecting this year the same kind of trouble. Businesses aren't boarded up, and frankly, there are more reporters than protesters on the street at this point. Guys?
Okay, Terry, appreciate it. We're going to bring in our ABC News chief legal analyst, Dan Abrams. And Dan, I want to get your initial thoughts as we begin the second day of deliberations.
Well, let me say this. If there had been a verdict yesterday, and if we'd heard the word verdict yesterday, I think it would have been very good news for Kyle Rittenhouse, meaning it would have meant, I think, that they had gone through very quickly the charges and determined, you know what, we don't even need to get into this too much. It's clear there was self-defense. The fact that they're going into day 2 at the very least means that they're taking their time, they're evaluating, and they're assessing the law and the facts.
But more copies of the jury instructions. What do you make of that?
Well, remember, this isn't a case about exactly what happened. It's a question about why, and it's a question about the law. And those jury instructions are the whole case. I mean, this case is about the law, right? It's about how do you interpret the law based on the facts that we know. We have videos of what happened. We saw it happen. So now the question is, how do I interpret everything that happened and decide it? And that's the jury instructions, and that's why that's
And basically, if they think he started it, he's guilty.
Not necessarily. No, they could believe that he provoked this and yet still be able to invoke self-defense. It makes it a lot harder, but he could still do that. And I have to say that the randomness that we were talking
about. I was going to ask you about this. What was behind that idea of him picking his own jurors?
I've never seen this happen before. I mean, it looks like a lottery or something. He's reaching his hand in. He doesn't know that there are numbers in there. I'm not saying it's somehow corrupt, but it's a bizarre spectacle. The judge apparently does it all the time. I've never seen it happen. Other Wisconsin lawyers I talked to have never seen it happen either.
Okay. Dan Abrams, thanks very much.
Well, hey there, GMA fans. Robin Roberts here. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Lots of great stuff here. So go on, click the subscribe button right over here to get more of awesome videos and content from GMA every day, anytime. We thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the morning on GMA.